Welcome, boys and girls, to the inaugural video of the F65 Unlimited EPL Challenge. As you'll learn to say, it's the game within the game within the game. I don't know if that was enough games, too many, too few, but what we're here to do is to talk about the next greatest innovation in fantasy sports. So, first of all, I'm your host, Brian Brooks. I'm here with Commissioner Nick Moore. First question I've got for you, Nick. What exactly is FPL?
Well, Brooks, it's a pleasure to be here today. And while the term commissioner might be broad, I prefer to go behind the creator of the F65 challenge. But you bring up a good point, right? FPL, or Fantasy Premier League, is kind of the underlying glue that's going to hold this whole competition together. And it is offered, I guess, officially through the Premier League. And if you don't know how it works, you'll probably want to go watch some other FAQ videos out there. There's tons of them. We're not here to get into that, but it does have a league segment and an in-season cup competition with the whatever vanilla version of the game. But what we're here to do at F65, as you mentioned, I think that was the proper number of games, but we're here to build on top of the vanilla version to add FPL Supercharge 2.0. I don't know, beta plus, you tell me.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll figure out the proper terminology here, but it just wouldn't be a Nick Moore brainchild if we couldn't customize something. So what we're here to talk to you about is the inaugural F65 FPL challenge. It again, that's the game within the game within the game. So it's everything is going to essentially run through the FPL league that we set up, but then we're going to keep track of other, we're going to have our own thing that's going to be recorded on spreadsheets. It's going to be recorded. We're going to recap them through these videos. This is just going to be is it fair to say this is just like we're introducing what this idea is going to be?
Right. And I think for those of you that are obviously soccer fans, sorry, football, whatever you want to call it, you can think of the F65 challenge as the Champions League to your normal soccer competition, right? So the league portion of FPL is the same as like the Premier League. Then the in-season cup competition would be equivalent to like the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. Well, what we've done is bolted on top of that something in the same vein as a Champions League. And what I mean by that is we're going to be building group stages that build into an elimination knockout tournament bracket. So that's the simplest way to say it now that we're a few minutes into the FAQ. How does this work? So that's the easiest way to think about it.
So when I hear Champions League, I think best of the best. But in order to figure out the best of the best, surely you have to qualify. You just can't be in a league, right?
That's correct. And there is going to be some qualification metrics. In our case, the pot system, right? In the Champions League, they're somewhat called like the Champions Path or the League Path. So we've kind of taken that to heart here. And how you qualify for the F65 challenge is based on the previous season. And don't worry, if you're new to the league, there is a way for you to qualify, and we'll get into that momentarily. But is this a good point in time to kind of talk about how you get into a pot, how you get into the challenge?
I hope so, because I've just put the graphic up on the screen and it's showing.
Okay, great. So the first way to qualify is going to be through what we're calling the Champions Path. So in the prior season, if you win the league, if you win the cup, if you win the F65 challenge, you are in. Not only are you in, but you will be the first ones that qualify, and you'll be in pot one, right? Which theoretically would mean an easier path to a group stage, something like that, or an easier group stage. But obviously, every year will be a little bit different. But that obviously there's only 3 teams that can potentially be in that champions path. Potentially less if somebody doubles up on one of those trophies. So the next qualifier will be in the finals path. So obviously you can't participate in a final in the league, but if you are a participant in the cup or the challenge final, you'll slot in there next. And then after that will be what we call the league path. So we'll basically, anybody that isn't already qualified, however many points you scored last year, you kind of get pegged in. And that will be, from that pile of teams, depending on the number of pots, then we'll basically just start picking out, okay, if there's 2 pots, this many people get in, and so on and so forth. And then, as I mentioned, if you're new to the league and you didn't have a score last year, you didn't participate with any of the F65 competitions, we have an in-season qualifying, right, which is basically going to be the first 4 game weeks. We'll take everybody that hasn't already qualified, and it's the most points. We'll get into that last portion in order to fill up any remaining pots.
Seems simple enough. And again, it's up here on your screen. So if you've got any questions, that's too bad. I don't know how we could have made that any more simpler for you.
Well, I think the one thing we could do, Brooks, if you switch over to an example here, we're going to be looking at how we built the pots for this test season, if you will, to kind of go through and walk through what would have happened had the F65 challenge been up last year. So
So
you can,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So what we've got is we've got pot 1 and pot 2, right? We've got pot
Hmm.
1. Unfortunately, we have Sean Newland, known Liverpool fan.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate for everyone, I suppose,
very.
especially him. He qualified through the Champions Path. He won the league last year and he won the cup. So he is the first team in pot 1, if I'm reading this right.
You are absolutely correct. And that's how simple it is, Brooks. It just so and so made it, and here's how they made it, and here's why.
All
So
right, so let's talk about the second team in pot 1 then.
I think we can just skim over it. They can read on the
Oh yeah,
screen there.
okay, yeah. Moving on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
but
in. You're in.
yeah, no one wants to talk about about me. That's cool. Yeah, I was the runner up in the finals path in the cup. But then we've got, as you can see, we've got Jim Jam, Squeak, Slap into a Slim Jim, Wiesbrock, Michael Bogart. They are the other 2 in pot 1 here. Um,
And
Going
they
into league
qualified
path.
through, yep, the league path. And you can see there in parentheses, right? They were second and fourth in points scored. Obviously, that means that, right, Newland and Brooks were first and third for total points scored that year. So that's how we fill up pot 1. Then as we switch down to pot 2, right, we had myself and Adam Carlson, aka Bieber, aka the handsome one, whatever you want to call him, an Arsenal fan, which is the worst. Um, we were obviously members of the league in the previous year, and we had 5th and 6th in points scored. So we take up the first 2 spots of pot 2. And then we had 2 new guys to the league last year in Aiden and Jamie. So then they qualified as first and second in the in-season qualifying weeks 1 through 4. And that gives us our 8 contestants for this, you know, hypothetical had the season happened, had the challenge happened last year.
Yep. So just to clarify then, if you're new to the league, you can still qualify. These pots 1 and 2 are not set in stone. They are just examples of what would have happened. So you get your first 4 game weeks to get into this format, and should we have enough interest in this inaugural season coming up here, we'll have an expanded format. Like, this is made to scale to the number of players in the league. Correct?
That's correct. So hypothetically, let's say we get up to 22 people, right? Rather than 2 pots of 4 and have 8 people and so many people kind of out in the cold, we'd look to get 20 teams into our pots. And so what is that? 4 pots of 5 teams, right? And so that's how we would go ahead and fill that up. which means there's two teams left out in the dust. So it's unfortunate that, but that's the way it works, right? When you don't have the exact right number of people, but that means that those first 4 weeks are crucial. You will know if you're already in a pot before the season starts. Obviously, if you're new to the league, you're going to know how many spots are open, who you're fighting with. But man, I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on that first 4 weeks, a lot of intrigue for us to follow along with.
Is there anything else that we should cover at this point, or should we get onto a kind of like let's speculate about the season unless there's something else you want to cover?
Yeah, I think that's it for the overview. That's how the F65 challenge works. Other than obviously, from here after we have the pots, we'll have a video that goes through the draw, and that'll happen, live in future seasons, something like that. But then you'll play a home and away, right? With everybody in your pot before the top 1, 2, 3, whatever it ends up working out as, gets pushed into a knockout bracket, and the bracket will conclude with the F65 challenge final. Will always be the week before, what did we say, the quarterfinals of the in-season cup, right? So I
Correct.
think that comes out to what? So week 25 or 35, because then it would be 36, 37, 38 is the would be the quarters, semis, and finals of the in-season cup. So
That sounds right to me.
yeah, so a full season worth of FPL additional greatness.
So that's the league in a nutshell. Feel free to rewatch if you have any questions. You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel where this is going to be posted. If you've got and we'll respond to you if your question is not stupid or anything. But so I don't know if you have any thoughts for the upcoming year, Nick. I have started. We've started to see some player values trickle out here, and the most interesting one to me is Cole Palmer jumping up from what he started the year as like a 4.5 or a 5,
I
and
think
now
it
he's
was
up to
5 or 5.5
yeah,
last year.
but now he's up to a 10, and he felt like a must have last year. I'm probably like not to give away the secret sauce for to coming in second in this league, but I'm probably just going to be picking Holland, and it's going to be a set it and forget it type of captain thing again. Everything in threes. I've done that for 2 years in a row. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about anything that we've seen?
No, I mean, well, I guess I do have thoughts, but you hit on Palmer. I think the stat was it was the largest season over season increase in a player's price in FPL history, which is kind of crazy to think about. Um, but I think you hit it with Holland. Holland is also 15 million, which is the most expensive FPL player in history. And so I have started a season with Holland. I have not started a season with Holland, and those seasons were wildly different. One very successful with Holland from the get-go, one basically playing catch-up when I didn't start the season with him. But 15 million is quite a lot of money. So I'm interested to see what sort of ownership we see from him, because what it was he last year, like 12 and a half or 13?
I think he was actually 14. So it's still an increase, but
But
if you
yeah,
look
he
at
was definitely a set it and forget it. Like, you find your differentials elsewhere, pretty much. So
yeah, like you have you have your minimum, like what is it, like 65 million or something? Go figure. F65. I think that's the minimum you have to spend. So if you're gonna be spending a good chunk of change on Holland or Palmer to that doesn't seem like much of a differential, but those might just be guys that you have if you're gonna keep pace with everyone. Um,
well, and always at this time of the year, you're paying attention a little bit to transfer rumors, who's coming in, who's coming out, and you're doing a little bit of okay, this is a rumor that they might come in. I'm hoping they come in, and then they might start. What's their price going to be? So always early in the season, it's interesting to see where these new pieces are going to fit. who was it that was the new signing for Man United, the striker,
Oh yeah, Joshua
Xerxes.
Xerxes. Yeah, former Bayern youth product.
Yeah, like where is he going to fit in all this? I mean, they just signed Rasmus Hoyland, right? It seemed like he was struggled last year as a young player. So does he develop and get his feet a little bit more solid on the ground? Does this Xerxes guy come in and play over him? How are they going to do rotations? So that's the stuff that I'm always paying attention to this time of year.
The last thing I want to touch on here before we wrap it up, as we're hitting a little past the 15-minute mark. If you're at the 15-minute mark and you're still watching this, leave a comment of pineapple down below just so that we know you've made it here. I'm just curious to see if anyone actually has gotten this far. But there's going to be a mystery chip this year. We don't know what it is. It's coming out in January 2025. We had nothing to do with this, as far as I know. This is actually innovation from the game makers themselves, not an F65, idea. So that's going to be interesting to see what that looks like, and maybe if it looks something interesting, maybe we'll have to do something like that of our own in a future season. But yeah, excited for the season to get kicking off. We're gonna have a good crew of people this year. Hoping if you're watching this video has interest you and to check something different out, try FPL with a little more spice, as you might say. But that's all. That's all for me. Anything from you, Nick?
No, just looking forward to another season. And as you mentioned, it's another layer. So if you need things complicated in your life sometimes, then let's add some complexity. Let's be some onions.
Let's
Add layers.
Let's do it. Let's hope there won't be any financial doping. We can guarantee you that there won't be 115 charges laid against anyone here. Sean Dyke tracksuit, undefeated, up the fucking toffees. Let's go. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the game and talk to you in our next video.
Peace.